you've ever seen Clint Walker, you're not likely to forget him. Measuring in at 6 feet 6 inches tall, with a chest that looked like he had a barrel stuffed in his shirt, and a speaking voice that sounded like a soft foghorn, he filled the television screen for 7 years in the role of Cheyenne Bodie. Born Norman Eugene Walker in Hartfield, Illinois on May 30th, 1927, he may have been responsible more than any other actor for the Western craze that hit the television in the mid-1950s. Growing up during the Depression and World War II, he learned to take work where he could find it. He left school when he was 16 to work at a factory as a Mississippi boatman, carny roustabout, and a golf caddy before entering the Merchant Marines at age 17 and sailing on the Great Lakes during the final months of World War II. After the war, he worked his way across country holding such jobs as hotel doorman, sheet metal worker, and for a private detective agency working as an undercover officer on the Long Beach waterfront. He moved to Nevada to become a police officer, but discovered that they had 6-month residency minimum for peace officers. To make ends meet in the interim, he became a private security officer at the Sands Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada, where people would often tell him, due to his size and good looks, he belonged in the movies. By this time married and a father, he decided to take a chance and moved his family to California, where he started to make the rounds, finding only closed doors in a search for the cameras. Finding only one job as a Tarzan-type character in Jungle Gents, a Bowery Boys film, he spent much of his time pounding the streets. With things looking bleak, he one day met a man who said he could get Clint a job. Not wanting to hurt the old man's feelings, he gave him his phone number when he asked, and then forgot about the man. Not long after, Clint received a phone call from the man, who turned out to be actor Henry Wilcoxon. Wilcoxon told Clint he had set up an appointment with none other than Cecil B. DeMille. Clint took the appointment. But on his way, he saw a woman with a flat tire on the side of the road and stopped to help. When Clint finally arrived at his appointment, DeMille simply said, "You're late, young man." Thinking his career was over before it even began, Walker explained why he was late. DeMille said he knew that was his secretary who had the flat tire. Walker was cast as the Pharaoh's guard in the classic epic The Ten Commandments. With only 2 screen credits to his name and a 2-year time span in Hollywood, it was his next role that would make him a legend. Beating out 200 competing auditioners in a Warner Brothers casting call, he won the role of Cheyenne Bodie in the long-running TV series Cheyenne. Almost single-handedly starting the TV Western craze when the show hit the air in 1955, he would go on to play the role for 7 years, except for a hiatus during the 1958-1959 season and a demand for better terms, and conflict with the studio that Clint won. Originally airing as part of a wheel program trading off with 2 other shows, producer Roy Huggins took over the reins and removed it from the umbrella platform, turning it into a successful standalone show. Raised by Cheyenne Indians after his parents had been killed by another tribe, Bodie traveled the West dealing justice when necessary, lending a helping hand when needed, and never staying put too long. Groundbreaking in its own right, it made television history as the first hour-long television Western, as well as the first to be produced by a major Hollywood studio. Still drawing good enough ratings in its final year to cause the cancellation of the sitcom It's a Man's World, and outdoing the Kate Smith Show, Cheyenne was canceled after the 7th season. A string of feature and television films followed for Walker, including The Night of the Grizzly, Snow Beast, and Pancho Villa, with probably his best remembered role being the giant nicknamed Posey in the original Dirty Dozen. But his success was almost cut short when he was pronounced dead. While skiing in May of 1971 at the age of 44, 4 inches of a ski pole pierced his heart. Described as a freak accident, he had been traveling fast over difficult terrain when he took a spill, impaling himself with his full weight onto the sharp end of the ski pole. As he rolled off the ski pole, he could see the puncture hole and sprawled into the snow, getting weaker, which is when he prayed and told God he was going to need the help of the Lord to pull through. An ambulance rushed him to the nearest hospital, 45 miles away, where he was pronounced dead by 2 doctors. Laying in the basement, waiting for what he termed the meat wagon, he said he was aware of what was going on, yet wasn't present in body. He felt as if he had unfinished business, that there was something meant for him to do that he hadn't done, and he prayed again, telling God he wanted another chance, and he got it. A 3rd doctor was at the hospital visiting a friend and was on his way to his car taking a shortcut through the basement when he saw Clint on the gurney. He asked about Clint and was told about what had happened, and that the 2 doctors had pronounced him dead. The 3rd doctor said he didn't think so. He asked for some tools and took his coat off and started to cut Clint's chest open. That's when they received a surprise they were in no way expecting, when Clint asked if they had to do that. The doctor said yes, then rushed Clint into a 2.5-hour operation without anesthesia. The doctor later told Clint he didn't even stop to wash his hands, every second counting. Described as a 100-to-1 shot, Clint Walker pulled through, walking out of the hospital 10 days later, and written up as a medical mystery. Retired in 1998, he remained active throughout the rest of his life, writing a Western novel and a common and welcome face at Western events where fans always thronged to see him. Clint Walker died on May 21, 2018 of, you guessed it, congestive heart failure, 9 days before his birthday at the age of 90. Looming across our screens bigger than life for more than 60 years, he continues to be a legend, both on screen and off.